Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to put the handy dandy drill together from Tamiya. So a little battery operated drill. Yeah, we have to put it together. So it looks like a pretty cool, useful tool. Yeah, I had to say, this is my very first Tamiya kit I'm putting together. And yes, it's the drill. So let's get started. So there's not a lot of pieces to it, so we'll just get dumped right out, and we have all kinds of handy information inside here that I'm probably not going to read. Basically just telling you what covered in the kit in multiple languages. And we have our instructions, which is pretty basic, you know, because it's mostly pictures, because pictures tells everything. So it looks pretty cool, pretty straightforward. So we got some screws, some motor, some snap, fit. So almost looks like it's a snap tight. All right. Ah yes, lots of little screws and handy things. So let's take this apart quick. Grease. It even says grease. Okay. Got our motor. Let's see what else we got in here. So this looks like it's a pretty handy little deal. I've been wanting something for a while because I pin drill everything by hand, and that can be kind of monotonous at times. Plus it's hard if you're doing plug wires. I find it's hard to keep everything kind of even because you feel like you start somewhere, and as you kind of hold it and twist it, next thing you know, it kind of skewed off a little bit. It's just not kind of the way I'd like to see it in the end. So that's what we basically get in the kit. We got a bunch of gears, pretty simple setup, and we have a handy drill decal. So we'll get these pieces all separated. You can get a drill bit. Look at that. Alright, so this is what we have going on. Got a lot of little pieces here. We'll just get everybody out of the bags so we know what we're working with. And we got a bunch of washers, all kinds of fun stuff. Nothing else in there. Can't tell you how many times I've emptied a bag and then realized, oh, where's that at? And like, oh, I threw it away because it's still in the bag. All right. So for instructions, so we have our instructions laid out. So it's kind of somewhat basic. You're taking said pieces, snapping it together, and running with that. So we'll get started with this guy here. We'll take our nippers. So we got piece 1, you got contact 1, contact 2. So we're going to take this piece, and looks like it sits inside here. And then this comes down and around and sets in there, and it snaps in nice. So it's just a nice easy click. It pretty much falls in place. And you see in there it says snap in, and then you have the other side goes over here, and it's going to do the same thing. Very easy, nice positive feel. Same thing, just snaps in. Very simple. So you can see here where that clips into place. Looks like we can maybe snap that a little better. There we go. So you can see that clipped in there. So it's nice and sturdy. Moving on, that's all it is for step 1. Step 2. Moving along, we're back, and now we're onto the motor. So we're going to take and put the gear on the end of it, and the gear is going to be basically just flush with the end of it. So I can take this, push this on here. They're recommending you putting on a board of some sort and pressing that on. Like so. And I'm going to just push against my bench just to make sure we're down, and we're there. So it didn't go on too bad. And now they're having you snap the motor in place. So these contacts, looks like they're going to run against those contacts you just put in. So I'm going to bend those out just a little bit just to make sure everybody's cool. And now we take the motor. Let's see. So the motor is going to, these contacts are going to set against here. So you can set that in like so. And same thing, it's just going to snap into place. Like so. Pretty easy deal. It goes in a little tough, so you got to give it a little bit of a push. Everything snaps in. Oh man, as everybody says, these Tamiya kits are nice. So far, I like it. Pretty easy. All right, so moving on to section 3. So we're getting a little more in depth. So now we're getting to the drill handles here, or the outer piece of the drill itself. So we have it. Once we put this together, if we want, we can sand that off a little bit. These little pieces here, just to smooth the game out a little bit. It'll be easier if they're both together, probably. Or I guess we can just do it now. So we got piece A and piece B. So basically we're just working on this piece right now. So pretty much all the goodies are going to go into this piece here. So they give you instructions on how to and how not to. Screw in carefully. So guys, remember this is just plastic, so you don't have to like kill the, the pieces going in it. So digging through our parts bag here, goodies that we have. So we're going to be using part B7, which is this guy here. So this is tree B. This is part 7. Let's see what else we're going to need here. We're going to need B2, B3, and B8, which is the trigger in these two pieces here. Get those guys out. So we have a spring here, and we have this guy here. This is a shaft stopper, it's called. So this is going to fit into this hole here. And then the spring is going to go in here. Very easy. And then this piece, wherever it went to, is going to go. There we go. I'm losing things. So we're going to nip this clean just to make sure it doesn't interfere with anything. So just be careful not to cut the tab off if you are trimming it. Probably not a good thing to go with. So once again, these are going to fit inside here, so you're going to want to make sure that goes in the hole. Like so. So they have it, that just sits in there. So now we're taking part B6. So that's this guy here. And we're taking part B4, which is this one here. So they have you take this piece here, and this goes on the top. And then you have the other piece, this goes on the bottom. So obviously putting this in, you gotta be careful because you already have this piece in play. So I'd recommend probably putting this in first. Just probably make life easier for you. And then we put this piece on top, and then you're using one of the screws. So you can see it's square and square. So you can line them up. And this piece is gonna sit like so. And drop that back down. Put this piece in first. Get my fat fingers to work with me here. Like so. And we're going to take one of the screws. Looks like it's going to be the smaller screw, the 2x8mm. So it's going to be this guy here. We're going to drop him through the hole. So it'll fit through the hole nice. And while that's through the hole, now we're going to take and just line this piece up ever so carefully, like. There we go. We have it in there. So take our screw, put that in. Before you start, make sure you have a screwdriver handy, kind of like I don't. So they do make it to where you can put either a Phillips screwdriver or a straight. So I do have a straight one handy. So just make sure it's meshed down in, and don't push on too hard or you'll make it come apart like I just did. Okay guys, I dropped a piece, so I shut you off for a minute, but I got that back in there. So just lightly start that screw, and I'll tell you, this is fiddly. This is a little bit of a deal putting that in. Was for me. So you can snug it down. It has a kind of a stop before it goes tight to the plastic. So you can see that's going to go back and forth. You can see there's little detent holes here. There's a little pin inside there. So that works back and forth like so, and you can feel a detent. And it still has enough play in there to where it's not snug, but it's enough to let the detent work back and forth. So far we're looking like that. Got your little lock, unlock. So basically you're not really going to move that unless you're going to carry it with you and take it somewhere, and you're going to want to lock that down. And like I say, I recommend putting this in kind of last. because you're going to flip it around a little bit, just because. Not a big deal either way. So looking at the instructions a little further, looks like now we're going to need one of these washers. Let's see, we have a small one here. I'm going to assume that's me. We need this screw, and then we're going to need this, what do they call this piece? So this is going to go down. This piece is going to fit up inside here, like so. And then you have a spring. Spring is going to sit in this hole. You can put that right there. And you're going to put a washer on top. And you can put the screw in there. I tell you guys, I have a hard time picking things up, and this is where it shows. So it's easier to put this on here first, like so. And then we're going to slide this down through here. That should hold us all together. And now we can assemble that into here. Okay guys, so you get this assembled like so. Get that ready to go. You can put that screw, build that whole assembly up. So now the trigger sits in here. So you have a large tab. So this tab is going to fit inside here. And drop it in place. Just set this down for a minute. So we're going to drop this in here. Like so. Then we have our other bar. This is going to go down here on the bottom. It's going to fit down here. This looks kind of tricky to keep everything guided in place here. So we'll see if we can do this in 1 or 2 takes probably. So we're going to get this started in here. And we got to line everything up at one shot here. So I'm just going to get the screw kind of started. Kind of start by hand just a little bit first. So you got this piece here has to go in here. This piece has to go down here. But we're going to get the screw a little further into place. And then we'll figure out the rest of it once we get to that point. Okay, now we got it somewhat started. So we're going to bring this over. Get this guy slid into here like so. And thread this down a little bit further. So now the spring, this is going to have to go down here. Looks like, there we go. That's supposed to sit in that hole there. Like that. Now we should be able to tighten this down. It should give us our trigger. And remember guys, it's just plastic, so you don't have to like kill it going in there. There we go. So make sure that spring is snapped into here. And go ahead and tighten it down the rest of the way. Like so. That should be your trigger. Oh, that's pretty cool. Then you have a trigger lock. So if you lock this out here, that locks your trigger. How slick is that? They thought of everything. That should be it for this section here. So we'll move on to number 4. So we get too far. They're having to apply a little bit of grease here. I kind of missed that point. You're probably going to want to put a little bit right here. Anything that's a movable part, if it's going to come out. Oh, there we go. And probably in here, where that spring is. I put just a little bit down here. Any part where it's movable. And your basic moving pieces. So anything that's a moving part, it's not going to hurt. Put a little grease on there. So next off, we're going to do is put the motor together, the shaft, the motor, all that fun stuff. So we're going to grab this piece here, and once again, they're going to have us put grease in here. So we have a plastic bearing. So they have me put a little grease here, and let's see, plastic bearing will be this piece here. Here we go. So this is already kind of loose for you. So you're going to slide this on here, no particular direction, it looks like. Kind of work that grease a little bit. I'm going to put just a little more on there just to make sure. They don't give you a lot in here, so you got to be sparing with it. Just a little bit's all we need. There we go. Okay, other than that, we're going to put the gear in there. So they're telling you to remove the flash off the gear carefully, ever so carefully. So it's nice to put as it rolls away off the bench, so it's nice to put the flashing towards the back side. So if you cut it right, you're really not going to get much on it. And then we have another gear here. Let's get these out of the way. So this looks like this is gear 1. So gear 1 sits on like so. You have a spline, sits in this spline. Then we got an E-clip. This E-clip you're gonna have to be very careful with because this will go flying. They give you 2 of these. So I'm actually gonna grab Palomino's because I can see this taking a ride. So thankfully mine are magnetized. Grab that very firm on the side. I'm gonna get that pushed in there. Like so. Make sure it snaps in, and then you can't pull that back up. And then we have that part of it. Okay, so we're gonna leave that to the side for right now. We're gonna grab, we have 2 pieces here. I'm gonna grab this other gear. So I got a little flash to remove from there. No big deal. So we're gonna need part C5. So it's gonna be this guy. We're gonna need C4 at the end. Somebody's get him up there now. Deburr it a little bit. These are gonna spin. That'll come out pretty clean. All right, so we're gonna take C5. So a big difference if you get them situated or messed up, C4, C5. C4 has the blank side to it, where C5 has the open ends on both sides. So we're gonna take a little bit of grease, put here, as they're calling out. So you're gonna want the big washer, put that on there first. And then you're gonna put this piece on there. Like so. And then you're gonna slide this on here. Like so. Then we're gonna slide this gear here on. And you can put the cap on it. So before I put this on, I can put a little bit of grease on there. This gear, cap, and that's it. And that's it for this piece. So now you can take the last gear and the last piece of rod that we have. This is going to go through here. Once again, a little more grease. Make sure you get a little bit in there. The rod will push the rest way through. Slide him in like so. So this piece is going to sit in here first. Going to go like this. Like so. And this guy's going to sit up top. So this bearing is going to sit inside here. This gear is going to mesh in here. This bearing cap's going to sit in there. It's like so. So you can see how fast that turns, how slow that turns. So you're going to turn it, make sure you have no problems with your, if you have any flash or anything like that, you're going to make sure it's going to clear that. You can see I got a little flash right there, but it doesn't seem to bother it. All right, we are good to go there. So we're done with this part. We'll flip the instructions over. Now at this point, they're having us put the motor in. So from here, we're going to set the motor in this way here. That's going to sit in just like so. Everything fits in so nice and easy. So you can see there's a piece here, you line these up, the bottom of that sits inside there. It just sits in there. Now from this point, you're going to want to put a little grease on those gears. I don't see where it's really showing you that, but definitely going to want to put some in there. We're almost done with it. Pretty simple so far. So I would recommend just a little bit of grease on here. You just need a little bit, and it'll obviously work its way around once it gets to it. Like so. That's all you should need. So I don't want to get too carried away with it. I'm going to put a little bit in here just in case that bearing decides to spin. Same way with this one. It shouldn't, but just in case it rotates into the plastic, it's not going to chew it up. Alright, so now last little bit of assembly here. We take this piece and the other half for our batteries, and this piece is going to sit. I'll figure this out here. So it looks like this piece sits in like so. This piece is going to sit on top. Try that out first, see how that does. This piece has to sit inside here. because you need your batteries to contact that tab right there. And then we can put the cover on, put together nicely. Maybe. My motor does not want to sit in there all the way. Oh, because it's not sitting on the bottom. Not a problem. Simple, simple. There we go. This wasn't down square. Try that again. There we go. Now she's sitting flush. Alright, other than that, we put our 4 screws in. And you can see they give you a lot of extra parts, so just in case you get that moment where one goes flying. So that's always handy. I don't think this screwdriver's going to do it. Oh, it will. Look at that. So a small straight screwdriver will do the job. It would be handier with another one though, so you don't stab yourself, which we got lucky we didn't. Okay, now I gotta go find 2 AA batteries and see if she works. This looks like this will be a pretty handy tool here. So I just thought I'd show you how to put it together. I've never put one together, so I hope the instructions I give you was somewhat basic. They recommend using a Phillips screwdriver here, but I am too lazy to go out to the garage because it's cold out right now, and I'm just making do with what I have in-house. There we have it. Zoom, zoom, zoom. So we have our battery cover, which goes on here once I get some batteries for it, and then we got our chucks, our collars. So they give you 2 different styles, one for bigger and smaller. We're obviously going to go with the smaller one, so you're going to slide that in there. Slide this on here, and that is your lock. There you have it. You push that down and you can stop that and hold that. So it has to find its spot. You let it go, it comes back. You turn a little bit real easy, and you can feel it going in the hole. That'll stop it so you can chuck that back and forth. And that goes down to a pretty small bit. Alright, let me go find some batteries and we'll test this bad boy out here. I'll be back. Okay guys, so I got some batteries put in there. When the house found some, they just fit in there just loose like. Oh yeah. How awesome is that? Put a little cover on it. Boom. For plastic or wood, wear eye protection. Okay. So it gives you a drill bit. But we have these bits we got from Hobby Nut Models. Check these out. They give you a little sticker to put on there. I don't know where you'd put that at. It just says electric drill. Not even sure why you'd want to put it on there. But... So I completed my first Tamiya kit. Yay on me. Okay. So we got these here. These are 0.3 to 1.2 millimeter. That's pretty small. I figure I gotta open them. Like that. Oh. Check that fancy. Oh, those are tiny. We'll go with the bigger one first so we don't break anything. So looking at these, I'm going to need the bigger collar. So once again, I don't have it tight either way. So we'll swap this out with the bigger guy in there. This guy back down. Maybe it's going to fit in there, maybe not. Alright, please hold. She's a snug fit, but she works. Look at that. How cool is that? Well, let's test it on something. We'll try it on the old tree here. See, that's a way more precise drill than doing it by hand. Because usually when I do it by hand, I can't get them like 100% true. So there you have it, guys. The Tamiya drill. Easy to put together, not too bad. Just follow the instructions. Pay attention, and you got your little lock. So you can turn that. That locks the trigger for those traveling needs. Then unlock it, and away you go. Alright guys, thanks for watching, checking out the channel, and we will see you guys in the next video. Check out Hobby Nut Models. That's where this drill come from. say I think it's well worth it versus doing them by like a hand drilling. So it's not variable, it's just on or off. So it don't matter if you a little trigger, a lot of trigger, it's the same. Either way, I'm happy with the results. Okay guys, go get yourself one, check it out. They look pretty, looks like a pretty useful tool for the shop. We'll see you next time. You guys have a good one.